Pat McAfee, Peter Schrager, just talking about all the things that have to be considered with the rendering of the suspension for Deshaun Watson.
There is precedent. Ben Roethlisberger had 2 cases that did not go to court. They both got settled. He got suspended 6 games for that. That got appealed down to 4. That's 2. Now, I guess it's not fair just to do math and just do that whole thing. But I appreciate the fact that the NFLPA is saying publicly there's no precedent with this with Robert Kraft or Daniel Snyder or Jerry Jones, which I guess there isn't. But we also all understand that they're owners of the league in which you are currently going to court at, right? Yeah. There is precedent in the past. And I assume that's exactly what the NFL is saying to Justice Sue Robinson whenever the NFLPA, Jeffrey Kessler is an incredible lawyer. He got free agency, I think, and numerous other things. I know he's a power player, but the public perception of them saying there's no precedent, there's no precedent, there's no precedent. I think I was in Pittsburgh. Or no, I wasn't. I was in a cold already.
It was 06 when it went down, and I was starting to cover the league then, and that was Goodell, like, as a new commissioner, one of the first things, and he, like, laid the hammer down, and people were like, damn, like, whoa, okay. And here we are all these years later, and Goodell's, this long tenured commissioner. And I think this might be one of the trickiest cases yet that he's had to rule on. I think he's going to lean on what the justice says, but not public relations. I feel like this is going to be what the facts are and what they have. And, to just throw the book at Deshaun Watson because they feel like that's the right thing to do and that's going to be a win publicly. The NFLPA is powerful, and Jeffrey Kessler is not going to take that and just go down without a fight.
And with that, let's welcome in Jeff Risdon from BrownsWire.com. Jeff, all very valid points, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
It really is, and there's so many different conflicting information that you get. You get, Mary Kay, who I trust on this, and Pro Football Talk, who certainly has a reputation, behind them. And I think what Schrager said there at the end is very important, and he brought up the Ben Roethlisberger precedent. And it is important to remember that Roger Goodell was new on the job back then. I think he wanted, at that time, remember, the Bengals had a series of arrests, the Raiders had a bunch of arrests, there was the Vikings had their party boat thing. All that was like the background, and the NFL needed an image change. It needed to be cleaned up, and Roger went in and cleaned up with, protected the shield. And that's one of the subtext of why Roethlisberger got hit, even though he settled out of court and didn't necessarily have anything proven against him. It's a different time now, so I do think that the precedent is set out. But this is a case where they're trying to set a new precedent. This is the first case that's being educated with an independent arbitrator chosen by both the league and the NFLPA after the new CBA. And accepting what is done from that is very big. And I think Schrager hit on it at the end there. If you don't accept what the arbitrator says, the NFLPA is going to be, and rightly so, will be like, what do we even negotiate for? Why are we doing this? What's the point of having this agreement if you're just going to violate it or not go with it? And I think that's a very important thing to understand why the NFL probably has to accept what she does, even if they don't want to, because the NFLPA does have a lot of leverage in that. This is collectively bargained that they're having this arbitrator go for it. And I do think that gets lost a little bit. Like, yes, the NFL can do what they want to, but there is consequence to that action if they go against what the arbitrator suggests there. And I think that, as Schrager noted, the NFLPA has a lot at stake here too, and they certainly have a lot of very interested parties looking on in that. And I think I tend to lean towards that the NFL is going to have to accept what Justice Robinson chooses, whether they like it or not.